Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Everyone to the group chat brought to you by Overmap. I'm your host Darrell, and with me here today is Xin Wei. Today, the topic that we're going to be talking about is mastering biology. Bio itself is not an easy topic, and here we have advice from an NUS Life Science graduate. Welcome, Xin Wei, to the show. Say hi to our listeners.
Hi, my name is Xin Wei. So if you don't know me, then you should go and listen to the previous episode of the podcast. Then you will know more about me. I'm a life science and psychology major from NUS. So I took double major, life sciences and psychology. So a lot of people ask me what's life sciences. Life sciences is basically biology, but a bit wider.
So, being our Overmap O-level bio tutor yourself, I'm sure you have worked with a lot of students over the years, and you must have a much deeper insight because you did O-level bio, then you took A-level bio, then you went on to uni to do bio as well. So maybe you can share a little bit more with our students about your own personal story in terms of how you turned into a tutor and why do you choose bio? I think any of those for our bio students that are out there listening.
Okay. So in O-level, why you won't know what you want to do. So I took bio. Then in A-level, I took bio, chemistry, math, and econs as my subject comp for A-level. Okay, so I think the one big turning point is basically choosing your course in uni, right? That's a lot of people don't know how to do that. But to me, it was pretty straightforward because I really enjoyed bio. I enjoyed my O-level bio, I enjoyed my A-level bio. So I was like, okay, I'll study that. And in particular, I really very interested in biomedical, which is a specialization from life science that's related to human body. And I just want to understand human body better. Yeah, so after A-level, actually I could teach many subjects. I was teaching a wide range of subjects. I teach econ, I teach math, I teach chemistry, bio, everything. But then I took life sciences in uni, and slowly along the year, I just only specialize in teaching bio. And I teach both O-level and A-level bio. I've seen many struggling bio students.
Oh, that sounds a bit painful. Maybe you can give us a little bit more insight in terms of from O-level bio to A-level bio. How is it different, and what are certain things that students should look out for if they're intending to take it at A-levels?
Okay, so when I took A-level bio, honestly, I felt a little bit cheated because for O-level bio, the chapters are digestion, excretion, homeostasis, nervous system. So it's very much what happened to your body and how you react to it. So that is a very big picture, and I could explain it to a layman and in the O-level bio terms, and I think they can get it. I really enjoyed that, knowing that, oh, okay, so when I eat something sweet, then insulin will be secreted, things like that. But when I go to A-level, it's just they're so different. They're very molecular level. It's not something that I can see. Molecular level meaning on the cell level. So I was like, oh my God, I cannot imagine that. Because how I memorize bio and how I enjoy bio is I can visualize, I can picture it. But the cells are just too hard to picture. Yeah. But of course, they are very important. They help to explain even more about what we learn in O-level. Yeah.
From if you are because you did life sciences in uni, right? So how is that different from A-level, or is it a continuation and a build up from there?
Okay, uni is not much different from A-level bio. But of course, it's it dive into it deeper, and there is a lot more application. For example, for A-level, what we learn is it's very limited to the school notes, right? But for uni, we will read very recent scientific journals written by the scientists that are expert in the field. So it's very real and it's ongoing, and there are things that honestly no one knows the answer. So the truth is in bio, a lot of people don't really know what's going on yet. That's the truth. Yeah. So O-level, you study that, they tell you, okay, that's the truth. And A-level, you study that, they tell you that's the truth. That's the right answer you write for your A-level, O-level. But in uni, you realize that, actually, a lot of things are still ongoing, research are ongoing. So we learn to read those journals, scientific journals, and we do lab work. and also a lot of application, because a lot of this research are hoping to produce outcomes, like improve like diseases or clinical outcomes. Yeah. So that's like the application side of it in uni.
Sure, this is a bit more relevant, especially in this COVID world, and we see the importance of like the upcoming vaccine and things like that. I think these are all
Yeah.
applications of life sciences and bio in general,
Yes.
because those are breakthroughs in terms of how humans try to fight against evolution and things like that. All of it, I think, is really cool. I myself, I took triple science at O level, and my favorite science was actually bio, but I did not take bio at A levels because of whatever Xin Wei has just said, because of the molecular level stuff. So I was very
Okay.
like I was very scared of that. And yeah, I took physics chem instead. I don't think I have any regrets on the end. But I just wanted to get your perspective on what are some challenges of doing bio. Like I heard that it's like very content heavy, it's like memorization. Is that true, or is that like not true?
There's definitely a lot to memorize, that's for sure. And it's also very heavy. I remember my JC friend was like, oh, because I think RI give us like 6 books of bio notes for our 2 years. Then like I was studying, then my JC friend who took physics was like, oh, that's your note. I think physics we only have like, if I have to revise, I only need like 1 book. And I'm just like, okay, no one asked for an opinion. But that being said, the challenges of studying bio, okay, like what so Darrell, I guess you did your research. You knew that A-level bio is very different from O-level bio. That's very molecular. I felt very cheated at first, to be honest, and because it's really not easy. And I think like what I said, the challenge is that you don't see it. Yeah, like O-level bio is like so exciting because you see it. It's like skin, you sweat, then you lose heat, things like that. But A-level bio is just like a lot of people couldn't understand from the start, because it's very difficult to understand even the concept, because they are just not visible to people. And I think that's one big challenge. And that leads to another thing. When you don't understand the concept and you cannot visualize what's going on, it's so difficult to memorize. And I must admit that the amount you need to memorize in O level, if it's like that, and the amount you need to memorize for A level is like that.
For our listeners out there, they are listening this on Spotify. What Xin Wei just did in terms of actions was
Alright.
to show that it was very small and it turned into very big.
Yeah,
Okay. Maybe with your experience working with students over the years, teaching them bio at both O levels and A levels, what are some of the most common challenges and the most common holes most students fall into when they are trying to master bio?
like what you say, a lot of people say, bio just need to memorize what. When you memorize certain things and you actually don't understand that, when the question are like tweaked a bit, then they cannot answer already. Yeah, so sometimes like, let's say they do understand like this paragraph, like this 5 points. Let's say it's a 5 points like topic. Okay, yeah, they memorize everything. So you ask them to replicate these 5 points, they can write it like everything. But they don't actually understand what's going on. So when the questions are tweaked, they cannot change what they know, what they memorize to answer that question.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because as much as I'm not a bio tutor, even though I took bio, teaching chemistry and physics at O levels, there's something that I always emphasize on, which is don't just memorize. Because when you memorize,
Yes.
you will forget. So the analogy that I always give is like, if you're memorizing, you're pretty much like a hard disk. So you keep downloading more files, you add on to that hard disk, eventually that hard disk space will get full. Okay, but if you're trying to understand and you're trying to digest new concepts, you're pretty much like upgrading your software, you know, for your ISO or your Android, you're trying to upgrade your system. And when you do so, you're not really imposing onto your memory space. And the worst thing about memorizing, other than the fact that you might forget, is that you need to admit that at O levels or even at A levels, there's just too much content for you to memorize. If you try to like memorize and regurgitate, you literally die, because you are not a memory card. You are not able to reproduce the word for word exact replicate. And if you guys have been noticing for the trends in terms of the questions that's being set, especially in section D questions, you realize that they are all turning into application questions. What does that mean? It means that the questions is given in something that is out of your syllabus, but what they are testing for in the answer is within your syllabus. So what you need to do is you need to be able to study the question and sort of like problem solve using your existing knowledge. And if you try to memorize, there's no way you can solve those questions. And those questions are usually the one that differentiates students that get the A1 and students that don't. So adding on to that point about memorizing versus understanding, at all costs, go for the understanding. So if you ever
Yeah,
like
for
attend
sure.
like Xin Wei's lesson or my lesson, I think that's something you'll find that we have in common, which is like
Yeah.
us drilling asking you why, trying
Yes.
to challenge your thinking, right? Do you think
That's
that's
what I
something
always
that
do.
works?
That's what I will always do. Like for example, let's say I go through MCQ question with my students and they got it right. Then I'll be like, okay, you explain to me. What is like, let's say the answer is A, right? Why is BCD wrong? Or like, if the answer is A, but I want you to explain. Like let's say this is a structured question. Like I want you to explain to me. So I just want to make sure that like I wouldn't even mind if students can't hit the keyword. Okay, that's another thing. Like keywords are very, very important. I'm like a super keyword person because bio is just like they're just too much to memorize that keywords are your saving grace. Like if you can hit some keywords, then you're like more or less there. But that's another thing. But before we reach that part, like it's about exam technique using keywords, right? If someone can explain to me the concept, okay, I think I don't know about chemistry or physics, but bio is very like step by step and sequential. Something happened, lead to something, lead to something, lead to something. So if someone can explain that process, even though the keywords are not there, but at least I know that the students they understand. So I think if someone like whoever is listening now, next time if you want to study like bio or study just anything without tutor, you should be able to explain that to yourself.
Something to add on here is that I completely can relate to this. I mean, we haven't spoken about this before or planned this beforehand, but I think there's a very huge similarity in terms of the way we tutor. So for me, it's always about ensuring that my students understand a certain concept. And like you say, it doesn't really matter whether my student get the question right or wrong. So in my group tuition, right, whether the student gets it right or wrong, I don't really care. In fact, how well they do for their test, I also don't care. It's more of whether they have the ability to explain and derive at the answer and show it to me that they know it. So there's only one way that I can confirm that my student understand the concept, and that is if they're able to explain the concept and teach it to me. So I feel like really understand it or not, try and teach it to somebody else that don't understand it. If you're able to teach it, it really means you understand it. Because if you memorize, you'll just be stuttering. You don't really know how to explain it, or worse still, you're not able to answer questions. So a very good way for students out there that do self-studying or studying with your friends, in fact, always question. So you ask yourself and check whether you're able to teach somebody else or explain it. So that is usually a very good method. And I think it's a good way for any students out there to really learn how to master their content. But okay, drawing back to the point on bio, because this is meant to be a more bio-focused episode for all the bio kids out there. I just wanted you to share a bit more in terms of from H2 bio, moving on to uni, what are some courses that are available to you? And from there, are there like certain specific career options for this bio graduate?
Okay, so for uni options, we're talking about just bio, very bio specific, is life sciences. And in NUS, I'm speaking from NUS because I'm from NUS, so I'm more familiar with NUS courses. So life sciences, which gives you like 3 specialization, biomedical, molecular cell, and biodiversity. So environmental science. And there is also medicine, even though medicine doesn't require bio, so medicine only requires chemistry, but I will say that having bio is an advantage to go to medicine. Not saying that you take bio, you will be selected over your friends who are in physics camp. But when you are already inside, the thing that you learn definitely overlap with some of your H2 bio. And also pharmaceutical science, pharmacy. Yeah, these are the more like bio specific.
History, because I assume that's also a pretty popular course, right? Does bio help for that, or is it a prerequisite?
For dentistry, because maybe the only advantage about bio is that we study nervous system. But other than that, I don't think so. I think dentistry is less so.
What are some like usual career prospects after you get your bio cert and you graduate from uni?
Your degree is very important, no doubt. But you really are worth and mean a lot more than your degree. You can do things that are not only about it. Like, you don't have to find a job that's related to your degree. I think that is very important for everyone to know. Okay, but now let's focus on how what are the conventional jobs. Literally before this, I was going through LinkedIn to see what my other life sciences friends are doing, just so I could like answer this question comprehensively. I'm from life science, so my life sciences friends, some of them are doing research. So, all the like your COVID vaccine, they are developed by researchers. So these people, and of course as researchers, it's like, or scientists, you can call them scientists. They stay in lab, they do lab work and like try to find solutions or basically just like better healthcare outcomes. So a lot of them are in research and pharmaceutical industry. So all your Pfizer, GSK, Johnson and Johnson, these pharmaceutical industries that are in the responsible for drug and healthcare products. Also, healthcare sector. Healthcare sector is quite a big sector this year that employed a lot of my friends because, like for example, but they are not doing like, let's say, really life science related, because they will be part of the maybe healthcare administration program, like 2 years associate, going through more like healthcare policy, things like that. Oh, and I forgot to mention one more thing, biomedical engineering. So biomedical engineering is also an area that is a course, it's also a viable career option. So because you may be confused because it's biomedical, but it's engineering. So it sounds like you need bio and physics, which you can't take like together in A level. So usually if you took bio and chem in A level, you would do a physics bridging course in NUS. If you took physics and chem in A level, you'll do a bio bridging course.
Really interesting. That's something that I never knew. And I think it's great for our listeners to know that as well. I think coming to the end of this podcast, there's something that I really can relate with Xin Wei in terms of what you study might not be what you do in the future. I think what you study, you really have to study something that you're interested in, something that you're passionate about. But you need to know that the job market and the demands of society or the economy in general is not fixated on what you like. So you need to know that, the jobs out there that require people is not exactly what you might like. So instead, the jobs out there are born out of necessity, born out of how the economy is growing. So with more technology nowadays, the kind of demands for skill sets are different. And as you grow up, you realize that it's not the people with the most knowledge that are the most useful people. The ones that are actually in the greatest demands are those with multiple skill sets, and they actually have the soft skills to make them flexible and adaptable. So I urge you, if you're listening to this and you're considering, hey, after A levels, or even right now, maybe if you're a secondary school student listening, hey, in the future, what should I expect? The truth is, the future is so far away, you wouldn't know what is coming your way. I think going into a field of study for your degree that you like is very important because you want to be passionate about what you study. But in university, it's not so much just about the studying. If you're the kind that you plan to study, then you go home, right? University is a waste of time because university is a safe space for you to explore, meet new people, do new things to improve on yourself. And along with that, you want to study something that you're interested about. I think maybe Xin Wei can share a little bit more about your current job now. And is it really related to bio? And maybe I can share a little bit more about my case so that everybody can have a good gauge of like how it is, is it true that if you study bio, you'll enter a bio field?
So actually I go into this biology and psychology double major because I thought I wanted to do research. That was like my first year uni kind of plan, when I was like, yeah, it's so interesting, human brain is so interesting, and like I can do research about that. So meaning that, you know, my career, like what I thought I would be doing is like going to lab, reading like journal articles and like performing experiments, things like that, because I am truly interested in bio. And I still am. But no, in uni, I did like research internship. I go for like my lab courses, modules. I can't freaking sit there for 6 hours. I swear, like lab is so boring. I can't bring myself to do it. The idea of it is beautiful, and I'm very interested to read, to find out more, to learn more, but I just can't like spend the whole day there. So I realized that, okay, this is not an option for me. Do I regret studying life science? I don't. But right now, I am working as an analyst in a healthcare software company. So the healthcare software supports everything in the operation of a hospital. So it's basically a tech job. And I didn't come from a tech background. But that's fine because I mean you learn a lot of things on the job. Can't just say like almost no one is prepared to go into a job. Like if you ask me like how much does your 4 years degree help you in your job right now? I'm like, in terms of content, nothing. But in terms of like stress management, soft skills, adaptability, picking things up fast, then I guess a lot of them are like important.
Definitely the same for me. So I went into uni thinking that I'll do film and I'll become a film director. But at the end of the 4 years, you see, I'm here speaking to you on the podcast. Because over my 4 years because technically after A levels, I already started tutoring. So this year I'm entering my 7th or 8th year. I lost count already. But along the way, because I work with so many students and I enjoy working with the students so much, that right now I'm trending towards trying to tutor more students and work with more students. It wasn't something that I planned for. It's not something that I thought I'll be doing, but it's just because of how in university, it just allows me to grow more as a human being, allow me to explore more about myself. And in the end, I just decided to head to where I think I want to head to. So for those out there that are still worrying too much, I tell you, don't worry so much. The only courses that you need to really think hard about is if you're entering medicine, law, and to a certain extent, I think dentistry, because those three courses pretty much guarantee that you turn into a doctor, lawyer, or a dentist. So those courses don't offer that much flexibility. But beyond that, I think for most courses out there, I think what me and Xin Wei is trying to say is the content is something, it might help and might be relevant, but more often than not, it's actually not relevant. And what you should be focusing a lot more is on your personal growth. I think when you're taking O level and A level, the goal here is not so much to put you with the content. Because honestly, when are you gonna use like binomial theorem in real life? No, right? You order cai fan, you probably just calculate it's $5 or something. It's not really relevant in real life. But it's the way your brain is trained to stretch your thinking, the way you're able to digest a concept and try to make sense out of it. So those are ways that you can stretch your thinking. And I think that's the value in education. It's not so much like what you learn, you apply in real life, but more often than not is the ability to learn and the continuous growth curve for yourself. So don't be too worried out there. Just focus on doing what you like and don't be too worried, because if there's anything we wanted to share today was that if you study bio, if you're like saying you love bio, you take O-level bio, A-level bio, and you study bio, you might not do a bio job related in the future. Okay, so I think ending off the podcast here on a nice note, Xin Wei, is there anything you want to shout out to all our listeners?
Yeah, maybe just coming back a little bit more about bio, right? Because I like what you say, I went through O level, A level, and uni bio, and I teach a lot of O level and A level bio students also. I think try not to treat it as a subject to study. Of course, if you are like 1 week away from the exam and you haven't known anything about it, then I guess it's very urgent. But along the way, don't treat it as a subject. Don't treat it as treat it as fun facts. Maybe and I hope that can increase a little bit of interest, and always try to like imagine what's happening. Like if I'm sure if you can picture it, it will be much easier to memorize. So and don't ever just memorize. Understand it. Have fun understanding it. Yeah.
some golden advice from our O-level bio tutor. So for listeners out there, if you ever want to work with Xin Wei, she's actually going to be the one that will be uploading all the O-level free bio chapter notes on our Telegram channel. So if you haven't joined the Telegram channel, please do. Last year, I was the only one, so I was providing only for physics and chem. But this year, we have expanded to a team of 11. So we are providing for almost all subjects across O-levels and A-levels. In the future, we'll be bringing you more episodes on Spotify. Okay, on the group chat, we'll be bringing you more content and we'll be inviting more guests to share. I thank you so much, Xin Wei, for joining us for this episode.
Thanks, Darrell.
Yep, and everyone, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
It sound right, boy.